Alright folks, it's been week 2 here. Sorry I'm running late. We had a birthday party yesterday and a 300 plus mile round trip fishing trip in one day. But anyways, one of my grandsons, first thing when he got out of the truck at the lake, picked me up a piece of chalcedony. I guess I'm teaching them right that they know to look on the ground and keep their eyes peeled. I really like that. I'm really glad he found that and knew what to do with it. Didn't just kick it aside, but it was kept. And it could be polished, but I think you could just leave it as is and say, this is my first good rock I found. Here we go. Let's open this barrel up and see what we got this week. This has been week 2. And we run a 60-90 grit. Probably going to have a real good polish on these rocks today. And just the seal broke here a little bit. There we go. Whoa! We got some mud. Lots of mud. So, what we're going to do is we're going to wash some of this off here. I don't think there's going to be a lot of anything stuck to the lid. It's probably just plastic pellets. Set that aside. Now comes the fun part. See what kind of what we're going to get out of here. Still quite a bit stuck in the bottom. Let's see if we can clean what we got here in the strainer. Whoa. And remember guys, if you're doing this, buy your own screen for doing this. The ladies hate it when you take the one out of the kitchen and use it for cleaning your rocks with, because they have kind of a gritty taste sometimes and don't like that in the noodles and rice or whatnot. But anyway, that one's coming out pretty good. It's looking better. It'll clean up. I'm going to clean it up a little bit better. But as you can see through the mud and sludge, it's pretty good looking. Here's another one. Wash. That just sticks on there, but look at the fire in that one. Isn't that just gorgeous? Now, one thing you want to start watching from this point on is little chips in places like this where it's got little chippy holes, you know, where it's kind of natural in the rock. You can't help it. It won't polish out. But you just got to make sure you clean these real good. I usually soak them for a while and take a toothbrush to them, an old toothbrush, and make sure there ain't no grit, because any grit that's left from this stage on will ruin the finish on your rocks. So just want to put that out there. We're gonna go ahead and finish cleaning up this ugly mess and come back and show you what we got, and we're gonna start week 3. I just showed the kids something they didn't think was possible. The nice thing about using these plastic beads for cushioning your stones is they float away. It makes cleanup a lot easier. Generally, you really don't use them after a run, but I just happen to have these ones around, and they weren't gonna hurt this run right here. So we're gonna go on and finish the cleanup and see what we got. Thank you. And as we're going through here, folks, making sure get all the crud out of these cracks and spaces. That one I should have maybe see the beautiful coloring in it. The hematite band right there. There's another hematite band. Coming through pretty nice. It'll be a beautiful piece when it's done. I mean, it's not top dollar, but you might get a a Swift quarter for it, and that ain't gonna be too bad. It's the pride of doing it that I did it myself. On some of this crazing, it's smoothed out on some of these rocks. Some of the others, it kind of chipped a little more, which is not bad. It only mixes in with everything to polish it down. The main thing is these deeper ones like this. Get all the stuff out of it. But here's another one. Oh, you can see that hematite layer right there. It's kind of almost a little sparkly. I don't think it's coming through too good on the camera, but gotta get the autofocus to work right. Well, you have to take my word for it, I guess. And here we go. Now here's another one. It's kind of like seashore. You got your ocean water out here, and then your beach, and then your hard beach, and then and so on and so on. Got beautiful layers of hematite showing on these. Now, on this run, we're gonna go ahead and get the. So as we go, so you want to make sure that's all good and scrubbed out. But as you see, as we tumble along, it's going to keep bringing out more and more color in the fire naturally in the stone. On this run, we're going to run a 120 220 grit, which does even finer amount of cleaning and scrubbing. It's called a medium fine, and you can see it's quite a bit smaller. Has little sparkles in it from the carbide. And we're going to add this into the mix here. Now, one of the problems we had on the last one I noticed is I didn't quite add enough water to my slurry, so I want to make sure I have plenty this time. This is the last run of these. It'll be the last time I use any of these leftover stuff, because it's not going to be conducive to me. I'm going to have to get fresh. But there should be enough cushioning in there. You can always add like a small drop of dish soap in there. You don't want it real foamy, but it does help cushion the rocks. I mean, you don't want a Lucille Ball washer mess going out the door, but a little bit of foaming, I guess, is a good thing, but not a lot. All you want to do is cushion them, keep them from shipping. I know they can ship. You don't want that too bad. You can see there's some of them that are trying. You know, I try to get it all in there. I'm stingy that way. Our next 3 runs are going to be even finer and finer. Now, as you can see, the next run is going to be a 500 grit silicon carbide, and that's, as you can see, is a powder, almost like flour. And the same with the aluminum oxide. It's a 1000, and then they're down to micron to polish. And micron size means it's generally smaller than a human hair, so that should put a fine shine on these stones when they're getting finished with them. We'll go ahead and add our water. Probably a little too much, but I want to make sure I get all the grit mixed up. You see these bubbles, guys, and how they look kind of metallic and stuff? Mm-hmm. When they run copper and stuff through a ball mill, which is kind of the same thing, only they use metal balls to break up everything to make the copper, pull the copper out of the ore. Mm-hmm. And they use a liquid detergent to float lost train of thought. They use a detergent to float the copper up on top of the water, and it turns into bubbles like that, and then they skim them off, and then when they get a bunch of that, they just put it through the furnace and melt it down for making copper ingots and our wires and everything we need in our vehicles and our homes, and what makes our life so comfy. And we put the lid on again. And like I said, this is going to be another week. I was late this week by a couple of days, but hopefully next week will be good. You know, it doesn't hurt to run your stones, especially hard ones like this. It don't hurt them to run a day or two extra. You know, especially if you got them in a separate garage and it's rainy and snowy or whatever, and you don't want to go out and trudging through the get it kind of mixed together good. Make sure the slurries. So you don't really hear much when it's tumbling. It sounds more like a little bit of a light rainstorm than anything. So anyways, we're ready for another run. We'll talk to you in a week. Have a good week.